Hello and welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry, and today we are talking about the transition from achiever to becomer. I think this is one of the most important episodes I've ever recorded because the content is so foundational to what we do at Learn, Do, Become. While we do help people to get organized and get out of chaos and get out of piles, it's not because we want to just get more things done faster. It's because we want to become. That's why it's Learn, Do, Become. But I've actually struggled with being an achiever most of my life, and I'm working to transition away from that. So I'm going to take you through my process, and I hope that you enjoy today's episode. Quick announcements for those listening when this goes live. Our next session of 4 weeks to finish is going to be open for registration December 13th. We're actually starting officially on Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. This is a group coaching program where you build your STEP Command Central in 1 month, and you have support and bonuses and office hours and all kinds of great resources to help you simplify the STEP program and get through it really quickly. And we hope that you'll be part of it. This is the only one we currently have scheduled for 2023. So if you think, I want to be part of 4 weeks to finish, come check it out at learndobecome.com/4 weeks. We are also really doing some amazing things inside of our Arise membership. It is hopefully your new happy place. We launched about 18 months ago, and when we first started Arise, I wasn't quite sure what it would become or how much I would love it, but we love it so much. And we're taking things to the next level. So just a couple of things with Arise. Our next live class is Tuesday, December 13th, 10 a.m. Pacific, but there's immediate replays available inside the membership. Our topic is success metrics. We're discussing the book, How Will You Measure Your Life, and pulling out some of the best principles from that awesome book. Plus, we have a new private podcast for all Arisers. So if you're thinking, I would love to listen to the classes or listen to the bonus audios and have more Learn, Do, Become content from my own podcast app like Apple or Spotify, etc., we have a brand new private podcast that we're sending out to all our Arisers. So you can learn more at learndobecome.com/arise. Okay, let's jump into today's episode about being an achiever versus a becomer. Now, this is somewhat of a self-assessment because I'm going to describe a little bit about what this means, and then we have a worksheet available for you to download and actually make this really specific to your unique needs. I'm very excited about this, and you can download it at learndobecome.com/episode 170, or just go to learndobecome.com. You can use our search function or find it on the homepage or find it on the podcast page. But we're thrilled to be able to strengthen you and help you breathe better, relax more, feel more focused, wake up excited, go to bed content. All right, let's jump in. So I have spent most of my life trying to be an achiever, and often it's been very successful. It served me well in many ways to be an achiever because I got good grades and I earned scholarships, I completed my goals, learned to work hard, protected myself and my family, built websites, wrote books, exercised regularly, kept a clean house, and created a long list of things that can be officially marked as done. But this focus on achievement, which I really didn't admit or acknowledge until now, has also been the primary source of my internal angst. And I've been talking about this in the last couple of podcasts as I'm really trying to dive deep to figure out what do I need to do to calm my brain down, and this is number one. I haven't completely made the transition yet, so I'm definitely a friend working through this alongside you. But I finally realized that I can still reach my goals and live a happy life and protect the people I love and pursue my purpose without setting my sights on the achievements themselves. So I've decided it's time to shift my identity from achiever to becomer. But I want to step back for a moment. A few weeks ago in episode 168, I shared that a community member had asked me why I'm so hard on myself. And that question really pierced my heart. And while I don't know that I have the whole answer, I think it dates back to when I was in the 5th through 8th grades. That was the awkward stage for me. I struggled with my weight. I spent hours watching TV and eating in my bedroom. I had some tricky friendships and essentially felt like I was never going to fit in socially. However, it was during that time that I realized I could stand out for my achievements. So if I got the best grades in the class, at least I was known as, quote, the smart girl. Or when I won the election for president of our elementary school, my dad introduced me to everyone that we would meet as, hey, this is the president of the elementary school. And I received all sorts of congratulations. Now, quick side note, I thought you might want to hear my speech that I gave when I was running for president of my elementary school. Anyway, it went something like this. My name is April Wilson, and if you're cool, you'll vote for me as president of this great school. I am excited to serve you and do my best. So mark your X by April and show your zest. This elementary is my very favorite place. If I don't win your vote, I'll have egg on my face. So that was my special little speech I gave in front of the whole school. What was funny is my older sister helped me to write it. And when she said, I'll have egg on my face, I said, wait, Laura, will anyone know what egg on my face means? And she said, oh yeah, it means like you're embarrassed. Everyone knows that. I'm like, all right. So I went and gave this speech in front of my whole elementary school. And then afterwards, I heard some people whispering and saying, yeah, she says if she doesn't win, she's going to crack an egg on her head. I just started laughing. I'm like, they didn't know what it meant either. Anyway, I did win. I didn't have to crack the egg on my head. Sorry, total tangent, but it made me laugh. Okay, now we know each other a little better. All right, moving on to the things that helped me stand out when I was younger. I also started using a planner at the age of 13, and I became really organized. Like, I would probably say I was the most organized or one of the most organized people in my whole school. So my peers would ask me for planner tours, and I would take them through and show them, here's my task list, and here's my calendar, and here's where I keep all of my, addresses and phone numbers, and all my goals and all the sheets. And I felt really special because I knew how to make lists and I could get them checked off. So that became, I think, a huge source of my identity and my value. And I started seeing myself as a leader. And then when I worked hard and got focused, I could get parts in the school plays. I'd memorize everything and be all ready for it. Or I could earn positions in clubs. Or I could win essay contests. There was one that was called Principal for a Day, and I was a writer. I really liked writing, so I wrote this whole essay, and I got to be principal for the day, and I got to be in her office with the walkie-talkies, and she took my schedule, and they did a little article in the school paper. I just felt like I was really respected for being responsible and accomplished, even though I sat home alone most weekends, and I used food to replace the loneliness. There was a lot going on in my head, but I felt like, well, at least I'm successful because I do things. Now, things got a lot better in 9th grade and onward, and I had lots of friendships and many happy moments throughout high school and college and over the past, almost 25 years of marriage and motherhood. But that inner desire to achieve continued to burn, and sometimes with a vengeance. Now, if you're an achiever, I invite you to pause for a minute and just think, what is it that has kind of programmed you to be an achiever? Were you trained when you were younger, to get things done, to get praise? Or were there a lot of, maybe awards that you were going after? Were you given applause for being the kind of person who won or got things done or, was held up on a pedestal? Like, what was it? And maybe your experience is totally different than mine, but I just want to ask that question because as I've been thinking more about my past, I realize how much I've been programmed to achieve. Some of it my own doing, some of it because of, the nature of the world. Now, most schools and clubs and organizations have checklists for you, and you get some kind of power by finishing them. So there's more to the story, and I'm sure I'll be sharing additional examples and things in the future. But for today, I want to invite you to join me on an adventure where we can move from achiever to becomer. A little side note, don't you think that's a fun name for our community members at Learn, Do, Become, the Becomers? So we've got the steppers in our STEP program and the arisers in our arise program, and the whole community is becomers. I like it. So, all right, let's go ahead and just start with a very simple question. In the areas of your life that matter most, where do you notice yourself leaning toward achievement? And what characteristics, habits, and perspectives would help you lean more toward becoming? I'm going to ask it one more time. In the areas of your life that matter most, where do you notice yourself leaning toward achievement? And what characteristics, habits, and perspectives would help you lean more towards becoming? As Eric and I were talking about this concept, because every time we take Sunny on a walk, I'm like, okay, remember that achiever becomer thing I was talking about? And so we've been talking about it for days. We realize that the specifics will look really different for everyone. And we can't make a standard guide that defines achievers and becomers because it's based so much on our past experiences and our personalities, our current circumstances, and our individual goals. Just even with me and Eric, there were so many differences in what I thought was something that was very achievement-based and what he thought, was or with becoming, that type of thing. So as we discussed it and realized we don't want to be these judgmental people who are looking around saying, well, that person's an achiever or that person's a becomer. It's more of a personal thing where we get to look at ourselves and assess how we feel about where we are and how we're doing. So instead of just giving you this list of how you're going to behave if you're a becomer, I'm just going to share a few principles that I recorded in my personal chart. And then we have a worksheet that you can download that can help you personalize these ideas. And that's, again, you're going to get that at learndobecome.com/episode 170. Because I really want this to be something helpful to you. I don't want to just record podcasts that just make noise and give you something to listen to. My hope is that I can share my pains and triumphs and processes, and then you could take this information and use it to improve your life so that you're feeling better about things. So if you want to come actually read this chart, I'm going to read through it here on the podcast. But if you want to look at the chart, I've got a side-by-side comparison of what I personally see as achiever mentality versus becomer mentality. And then the worksheet's there, and I'll explain more about that in a minute. Now, if you're looking at this achiever versus becomer chart on a phone, it lists achiever first and then becomer is below. If you're on a computer, you'll see them side by side. For the sake of the podcast, I really feel like it's helpful to look from column to column and compare. So I'm just going to read the achiever characteristic first, followed by the becomer. But I'm not always going to say which one. You'll just have to know if it's going from left to right. And then we'll keep going. Okay, so an achiever, the end goal is winning the race. A becomer, the end goal is being refined. Achievers seek admiration. Becomers seek to be an instrument for good. Now I'm just going to keep going, but I'm not going to say achiever and becomer. All right. Leaves me feeling I'm never enough versus keeps me feeling content. Feeds the ego versus releases the ego. Results-oriented versus process-oriented. Evaluates success based on the general public's standards, or evaluate success based on the higher power's standards. Rigid and controlled versus flexible and gentle. Impatient and frustrated versus patient and understanding. Checks off the boxes versus develops character. Manipulation of self and others is encouraged versus prioritizes mental and relational health. Achieves a short-term hit or focuses on long-term happiness. pseudo feelings of elation versus true contentment. Depends on physical health and energy, or it works in any situation, even when you're sick. Impeded by compassion, rest, and replenishment, kind of the mentality of better not stop, or augmented by compassion, rest, and replenishment. Induces chronic stress versus relieves chronic stress. Fears being laughed at versus can see the humor in daily life. Can become obsessive versus indefinitely sustainable. Fuels addiction versus overcomes addiction. Sees weaknesses as liabilities or sees weaknesses as areas for growth. Makes me feel superior or helps me see all people as equals. Avoids the mundane at all costs or sees the beauty in the mundane. Fears failure. An achiever would think anyone who comes in second place is the first loser versus a becomer who knows there is no failure. Achievers are ashamed of flaws, and becomers accept or even love flaws. Achievers fear rejection, and becomers embrace connection. All right, so that's the end of the chart. But what's interesting to me about this is how relaxed and empowered I feel when I read the becomer side. And I would be interested to know how you felt. Did you feel that way too? Just come to the comments on the show notes and let me know. But what I've noticed is whenever I start getting a little antsy, I'm pausing and thinking, what would a becomer do in this situation? Would a becomer feel super stressed, like, I've got to make sure everyone's happy? Or would a becomer pause and assess my personal energy and all the needs that I'm facing and make a wise plan that gives me room to rest, Really, it's changing the way my brain's thinking. So, okay, before I introduce the worksheet, I just want to give an example of how this can apply to everyday decisions, because this really isn't as black and white as it might seem. So let's say you have 10 more things on your to-do list for today, but a loved one who is going through something hard reaches out and needs your help. This could be a child in your home, it could be a good friend, it could be a neighbor, it could be a spouse, and they're saying, hey, can you help me out with this, or can you talk? It might be tempting to think that the becomer just drops everything to prioritize the relationship, and then the achiever just focuses on the list. Okay, so we might just say that, if I'm a becomer, I better just drop everything. And I've actually had those thoughts a lot in my past. In fact, I had this conversation with my sister a couple months ago. I just said, I'm slowing everything down because I've found that in my desire to be a good person, I would just drop all of my plans and goals to be available for other people, but then it felt like everyone needed me, and I was getting constant calls, requests, texts, needs, and I just kept being the person who was available, thinking I was doing a good job, but then I ended up abandoning all of the other things that I had planned to do that I was excited about, and then I was resenting myself and the people requesting, my love, which that's not fun. So anyway, here's what I think. For me, the achiever mentality would stick to the list unless stopping now would save time later. So the list would trump everything else. Where when I'm in achiever mode, I think, well, if helping this person is going to save me time later because they're going to need me again later, I'll just do it now and then I'll use my energy later to get the list done. But the list would be the king. But the becomer inside me would look at that big picture and ask questions like, is it wiser to pause my list and prioritize this relationship based on my personal values? Or is it wiser to create a healthy boundary and give myself a chance to do my work today, and then I can offer support a little later on? So the way that question is phrased, it leaves the answer a little ambiguous, because it's going to be based on your specific situation. But it helps me feel so much more empowered because I know I have options. I don't have to just drop everything, or I don't have to just prioritize a list. But if you've ever either been that person who prioritized the list or been around people who always prioritize their list, you kind of start to feel like people just don't matter and that that person just needs to be successful. And unless you're there to contribute to their success, you're kind of a non-entity. I've been around people like that, and I've been the person, I'm sure, who's maybe caused people to feel that way. So I'm trying to adjust that and change that. And I'm not, giving myself grief over it. I haven't done everything perfectly, but that's okay. But as I think more about what type of person will I be as a becomer, I just start feeling so much more relaxed, like I'm taking the pressure off. I believe that achievers and becomers both get things done, but it's the way things get done and the way we end up feeling at the end of the day that are the distinguishing factors. So, okay, I think that's enough of a description for today, but I want to tell you about the worksheet because I'm very excited about it. I don't know, and you don't even have to actually print the worksheet or download the worksheet, but I want you to at least look at it and then even just take 2 minutes to just assess where you are and maybe one way you'd want to grow. So what we've done is we have a list of categories that most of us manage on a daily basis on the left, in the left column. And then we have 2 columns to the right, and one's for achiever and one's for becomer. So it's very simple. But we invite you to consider each category and then record what you tend to do when you're in the achiever mode or when you're in the becomer mode. Like just assess and say, okay, one of them is exercise. For me, when I'm in the achiever mode, I have to get my specific predefined workout done, whether I'm energetic or hormonal or tired or stressed or I want to or not. It's like this workout's going to get done. When I'm in the becomer mode, I prioritize my physical health and I make sure that I create some time to move my body in a healthy way. But if I need to go a little shorter, or if I need to, let's say I'm doing weightlifting and I need to reduce my weights, or maybe I just want to totally change up the exercise for that day and I'm going to do Pilates instead of weightlifting, or I'm just going to walk instead of run, or whatever, then I make that decision based on my overall health and needs. I'm not just going to push myself. And, it might be totally different for you. So that's why I can't say all becomers do this and all achievers do this. Just for me, I have a tendency to go, one of those 2 ways. So after you, consider those categories, record what you do, then we encourage you to decide where you want to make changes. Maybe you like how everything is right now, and that's awesome. Maybe this will just be a good assessment where you look at it and say, yeah, I'm on a great track. I'm doing fine. I don't need to make any changes. Or maybe you might say, yeah, actually in the areas of relationships, I do find that I tend to prioritize my tasks or my phone or, my work more than the people that I'm working with or my family. Maybe I have a hard time drawing boundaries. Maybe I never turn off. It's up to you to be able to assess that. But if you do identify where you want to make changes, then you can practice doing so throughout the next week, month, etc. And then if you're wondering, well, April, what do I do with all these worksheets that you give me? If you just create a little notebook or a folder inside of Evernote or Google Drive, Google Keep has some great options too, OneNote, etc. Then you can just have one called Learn, Do, Become worksheets. And as we present these to you and give you these options, either some that are already on the website or others that, you can fill out in the future, you can just keep them all in one place. Also, if you go to our directory, we have all of our additional worksheets linked. So learndobecome.com/directory that shares all of our podcasts and videos by topic, by length, and then all of our bonus features. We have those linked there too. So you can just check it out. It's just available right there for you. So anyway, okay, I'm going to close up. Good luck. Please let us know how it goes. And please share Learn, Do, Become with your friends. We really appreciate it when you let other people know that they can come and contribute and be part of the community here. We have lots of free resources. So if they go to learndobecome.com/connect, or if you're new here, go there. You can see our free Facebook group, our YouTube channel, podcast link, learn about our main programs, Step and Arise. So those are all on the Connect page. We have a free class you can take. Everything's linked right there. Also, on our main page, we have a link to where you can sign up to get our newsletter. We send an email about once a week where we include all of our announcements, podcast updates, things like that. So make sure you're getting that. And then just tell your friends, okay? And again, our Arise membership, if you're like my best friend, I would love for you to come into Arise. There's a free trial currently right now. I don't know how long we'll keep the free trial, but right now there's a free trial. You can come in and be part of it. We have this private podcast we're launching I'm so excited about, so you can listen on the go. There's amazing power that happens inside of this community because it's not just me and Eric. I feel like we're the facilitators and we come prepared with, like a specific lesson. But then the community shares and talks and asks questions and shares what's working for them and contributes and supports one another. And we show you how to actually implement these things with this monthly focus. So whether you've already built your Step Command Central or you haven't yet, Arise works beautifully to help you just take these little steps every month. It's so fun. Okay, I'm going to stop now. I love you. Have a great day. Enjoy. I hope this worksheet helps you, and I hope that all of us can focus this week on being becomers, and that we'll feel so calm and relaxed and energetic as we do it. I can hardly wait. Okay, take care. We'll see you soon at learndobecome.com.